Hey everybody, it's the night video here for, is it Wednesday? Wednesday, September 12th. And it was a pretty full day today, although I am embarrassed by something. I don't know what's happened. This is at least the fourth or fifth time on this journey, but like the third time in the last week. Take a picture with people and it doesn't show up on my phone, and I don't know why. So I'm embarrassed to say I met a couple of great folks today at Pops back in Arcadia. One of them I'm going to talk about with quite a bit of detail, and the other young lady, now I'm forgetting her name even, DeeDee was the one young lady who I'm going to speak about, and I have her picture, or I took the picture, and I don't have it, so I'm embarrassed. I'm hoping I can get a hold of them and get a picture to share with you guys, because they're definitely part of this journey. But today was a long day, but it's funny how things work out. So I am embarrassed. I apologize. I lost that picture for them. But I left Chandler, Oklahoma, and I was going to try to hit the Choctaw. But as this journey has taken me in different ways and different routes, midway through the walk today, I realized, erroneously, like it's happened a few times, I looked into Choctaw for maybe a place to stay, and there was nothing around there. Maria was kind enough to try to get me a place tonight. And when you search certain places on Google, this is the second time in like a week it's happened, if you put in the town you're going to or you want to, it shows you a small map with a bunch of hotels, but that map isn't the town you're talking about. It's 30 minutes away. So the journey ended up taking me further down Route 66, but I shared with you kind of a neat story this morning about Steve, the gentleman that overcame a death sentence and a stroke to walk 20,000 miles and 7 marathons. Earlier in the day, I met a couple of gentlemen briefly named Jerry and Michael and talked to them, gave them my card, and then something, relatively beautiful happened later on. Before, when they met me, Michael had given me an iced tea. Said, "Hey, take this." I said, "No, I'm good, bud." He said, "No, take it. You'll need it." So I left them, and I was heading on down. Sorry, I keep getting these text messages, and I got to clear them off the phone. I guess I go over the camera when I do that. But you think 10 weeks in this journey, I'd have that figured out by now. Clearly not. Then as I continued down the road on my journey, I met a gentleman named Ian. And it's funny how these things happen. Ian apparently had happened to get off or miss his turn at the exit and saw me walking down the highway and offered me a ride, and I said, "If you can give me the next mini mart, I appreciate that." So he did, and we talked, and we had a nice conversation, and he was really I guess he was so impressed with what I'm doing, or the fact that the way it happened, that he passed an exit and met me, and I told him about my mission. He called up his significant other, I assume, and said, "I just picked up this guy, and we're heading to the mini mart," and she put me on. She had me on speaker, speaking with him, and her, and it was kind of neat that he was that excited. But I got to learn much more about him after the fact. So while on my journey, one of the things that G had suggested I do, and I think it was a great idea, I never thought about it, was as I go, if I meet somebody, share some of, my things with them, my shirts, as an example. That's not a whole lot to me, or that I have. But, I thanked him for his time via text and said, "Hey, if you're still in the area, you come back, I'd like to get you one of my shirts." So he said, "Yeah, I'm heading back down that way." At that point, I was up in Pops, and we got to talking, and he told me, I got to learn much more about him than just to stop at the mini mart, and really fascinating story as to how he got involved and addicted to opioids, which is just a huge crisis in the country right now. And he shared the story. We live streamed it, and then he had a rock and roll, and he headed out and said goodbye. And I'm sure we'll be in touch. And not long after that, I got a text from, well, let me defer. In the meantime, I started talking to DeeDee. DeeDee's a young lady at a server at Pops, a iconic landmark here on Route 66. And she shared stories with me. Um, she's cancer free at the moment, in remission. But a lot of people on this journey have been stricken by this disease, and she shared with me how she originally found it, I think, in 2013 in her breasts, and then when they went to go test it for that, once they found that, they tested her whole body, and they found that it was up in her brain, or in her brain, and then all over different parts of her body, and she seems to be just beating it, and she seems to be, right now, I believe she's a year in remission. So, I mean, congratulations for that. And remarkable, her sense of humor. She's telling jokes that she tells people, and for example, somebody comes in kind of having a bad day or complains about their meal, and she kind of says, "Well, do you have cancer?" And the people don't know how to react because it's such a awkward topic. If they don't, to be able to say, "Well, no, I don't." Well, I do, and kind of a quick perspective changer for them. But she does it in a polite and funny way, not to make light of the disease by any means. But one of the things that struck me, not only about her personality and her sharing her story with me, and some of the random questions I ask about what movies, their favorite movies, or traveling. And the one place she would like to travel to that she hasn't yet is Venice, and we talked about that. But she's been to Europe, she's been in Spain and Paris, and she loved that. But the one thing that she said was, when she was asking me, she came to me and said, "So why are you doing what you're doing?" And I kind of explained to her how I kind of got lost a little bit and wanted to prove to myself and my kids that humanity did exist and kindness exists. And she says, "I got to tell you something." She goes, "I've been overwhelmed with people's kindness, from customers that come in here and bring me gifts." She's got some of my favorite blankets are from customers, wishing me well. She says, "My church has rallied around me and helped support me emotionally, helped on occasion financially." She's one of these people that has been blessed to have to be loved by a lot of folks, and it's a pretty great thing when it happens. So, for all the people out there that were like me and a little bitter, a little jaded, talk to DeeDee, and I wish I had her picture online for you to see her. But talk to DeeDee and hear about the positivity and the uplifting spirit that she has. And God, it's escaping me who the other young lady's name was. Another terrific, not Anna. I can't think. I'm sorry. I'll get it though. Let you know. But then another cool thing happened. So while I was at Pops, leaving Pops and heading towards, at this point I wasn't sure if I was going to stay in Arcadia for the day, head to Edmond, which by the way is where I'm at right now. Maria reached out to me, and she got a place in Edmond. I'm about 14 miles north of Oklahoma City right now, so I'll be heading down there tomorrow morning. But a really neat thing happened. So earlier in the day, I met these two gentlemen, Jerry and Michael. And Jerry had reached out to me with an email that basically, first of all, they wanted to check on my safety. They said, "Hey man, I just want to see if you're okay. That road, not a lot of people are just racing on by, and just want to check on your safety." They didn't have to do that. And then Jerry said, "Well, look, I know you're interested in positivity and some stories, and I kind of got a story that I'd like to share with you if you're interested." So I said, "Yeah, well, let's come on down and let's chat and talk." So what struck me with these two guys, Michael's a young, quiet gentleman, 22, 23. He's Jerry's nephew. I wouldn't say that there's any one part of the story that's groundbreaking or mesmerizing. I think what makes their story, what makes Jerry's story so beautiful is just the overall picture of who they are. So Jerry's a single dad for about 13 years now. Out of respect for his kid's mom, and let's just say she's not in the picture at the moment, and hasn't been for many, many years. He's been raising his nephew for the last 10 or 12 years. So now here's a young man that is raising basically 3 boys in his mid-20s. The reality is this, and I don't mean to make light of this at all, and it brings back a conversation I had with Jennifer, who kind of got me in the streets of Baxter Springs, Kansas, and how it comes full circle. I'm gonna be running short on time. I talk too much. Jerry and Michael are, I don't know how to say it any other way. They're poor. They're not wealthy. They're poor. You know, and let me put it this way: they're poor in terms of finances. But to give you an idea, Jerry is a young kid. Grew up in southeast, I think, Oklahoma City. Gangs running around. Didn't want part of that. Kind of kept his nose clean. Michael, like I said, straight-laced, quiet kid. These guys are just trying to make it. Jerry had a story, which was a little bit surprising. My name is Jim Smith, so I understand how common my name is. Apparently, there's another gentleman in town with the same name as Jerry, same name. So I guess they kept getting confused, and the police got reports of him trying to commit fraud, which he didn't, and they withheld him a driver's license for many years, and that's not really the part of the story. It's just one of those weird anomalies that kind of, you know, when you keep getting kind of beat down and beat down and beat down, it's easy to lose hope, and yet he hasn't. And back in Baxter Springs, Jennifer was telling me about, I guess she came to me and was kind of offended as to how I was coming across, in the sense that there are a lot of people much needier than I am that do and give and care, and you know, kind of was wondering why it is I was doing what I was doing. You know, Jerry fits that bill. These guys offered me a drink when they didn't have to. They got me a ride towards Edmond when they didn't have to. They called about my safety when they didn't have to. They didn't ask for a penny. I mean, you talk about, they were sharing stories with me, and I don't think I'm talking out of school, when, you know, there are days when they don't know what they're eating at night. You know, they bought a piece of property out in Oklahoma. They got a trailer out there they're fixing up, and he's trying to make the best he can for his nephew and his two boys. And I mean, we shared a lot of stories, not even stories, just talking. And I think that was the one thing is, you know, Jerry said a few times, you know, I just want to talk to somebody. I just wanted someone to kind of, you know, hear my story. And I think sometimes on my journey, a lot of people have been there for me, and I think sometimes I can give back a little bit just by listening. And these guys, for example, they were sharing me a story. Michael had broken down on the turnpike, and they lived quite a bit of ways. Well, Jerry had a friend that only lived not too far from where Michael was broken down, and he called him up and he said, "Look, I'll give you $75 if you can just go get him off the highway, or bring him a tire, let him change his tire and get off the highway so I can feel comfortable." And his friend, bear in mind I'm saying friend, quote unquote, said, "Well, can you give me 100?" You know, you talk about people doing for people. These guys cared about my safety after getting online and reading about what I'm doing. They offered me some drinks. Eventually got me from where I was meeting them here to part of Edmond. No questions asked, not asking for anything. Like I said to them, you know, they may not be rich financially, but sometimes character goes a long, long way, and all I can hope for them is that karma is a known thing, and they get their day, because these guys, you know, to think that he's kept himself clean. I made a call for him about something. That Michael's a good young kid, keeping his nose clean. His two boys so far, 14 and 15, are keeping their noses clean, you know, in tough situations. And I know what it's like, you know, if you go back to my young history when I was with my mom eating off of a hot plate, basically. You know, it's a tough grind. So much love to those guys. Much love to DeeDee, great person. Glad she beat this stuff. Much love to Ian. Like I said, he, you know, met these three people on a way I wasn't even going to go that path. Essentially all because there was no motel over that way, and because Ian took a wrong turn, missed his turn off of a highway, and all these things fell into place. So that'll give you pause to think. So anyway, I love you all. I guess that's it for tonight. I got to wrap up. America's Got Talent was on tonight. Got to talk to my kids at least a couple times. Love them. Love you guys. Thanks for following. Have a great night now.